What is up, Sunday people? Welcome back to Grand Prix World. This is a special episode, one that I wasn't actually planning on making because my new microphone wasn't delivered yesterday as it should have been because we got screwed by a delivery driver. And this is a playthrough where how the microphone sounds has a much bigger impact than it would have on other videos. So I was going to lay off until the new microphone arrives, which is now going to be Tuesday evening, we hope. Um, but I'm making it anyway, and the reason for that is that we have crossed a minor milestone. I've just gone over 30 subscribers, and I know that's not really a big deal in YouTube world, or in any world for that matter, but to me it's an important milestone. I'm stupidly grateful for everyone who's chosen to subscribe. It really is it really is fantastic making these videos for you, and I'm glad that people appreciate them, no matter how big or small that group of people is. It's always great. It's always great when the game crashes in the middle of a heartfelt thank you message. Anyway, thank you so much for subscribing and for choosing to watch the playthrough. I really do appreciate it. And in order to mark the occasion, I'm going to take a few moments to skim through some of my other saves so you can see what's going on. We're going to start first of all with the most successful save I've got on this machine. Obviously, I've been playing this game since it came out. It came out, I think, '99. So, it's been a long time that I've been playing this game, and I have some amazing saves on my machine back in the UK, but I didn't bring it with me when I moved over to Germany in 2010. So, these are saves that have been made over the last 18 months, I would say, when I decided to pick up the game again. Let's dive into the first one. So, welcome to Jordan. This is my most successful playthrough to date on this machine. You'll see we have a very, very healthy bank balance, 26.8 million, and that's not through me being overly conservative. We have won multiple championships. Jarno Trulli is in this alternate universe, the most successful world champion in Formula One history, because obviously he's denied Michael Schumacher most of his titles. If we take a look, this is the start of the season, so that was a stupid call, wasn't it? Let's take a look at what's what. Here we go. So we won the Constructors' Championship first in 2000, that was with Ford Power. In 2002, we won it again, and this was with Ferrari Power, and we've been with Ferrari ever since. So we are 4 times Constructors' Champions. We lost out to Ferrari in 2001 by the narrowest of narrow margins, as I recall. Moving on to the Drivers' Championship, you'll see we have won by increasing margins ever since we started winning. We still won the Drivers' Championship in 2001. Jarno Trulli is a 4-time world champion, so actually he would be equal with Michael Schumacher in this universe, because Schumacher won 94 and 95, I think. Oh, some of you are going to be beating your desk saying you're a fucking idiot. He didn't win it then, but I've been drinking this morning. I have been out drinking in the sun, so that's probably why, if I've made a mistake there. Jarno Trulli won 3 years on the trot. Alexander Wurz, his teammate, then won in 2003, and that wasn't through me favoritising, is that a word? Yes, it is, Alexander Wurz. It was just the way the cookies fell that year. And 2004 was another win for Jarno Trulli, a dominant win with 108 points at the end of the season. Taking a look at, we've just begun negotiating with Mercedes-Benz. Same reason as we've moved to Mercedes-Benz over on the Arrows playthrough, actually. Let's take a look at this season's car. We're running at 52.6 million, which you'll appreciate is a pretty large amount of money given that we're struggling to make 42 million a season at Arrows. This is without pay drivers, don't forget. So we're making a healthy amount of money. This is how the car looks. We're sponsored by East. We're using Ferrari Works Power, Goodyear Works Tyres, and Mobil One Works Fuel. These aren't the highest paying sponsors. Castrol is the only 5-star sponsor there, but because of our success and the size of the team, we've been able to sort of negotiate much higher paying contracts with guarantees that give us a very, very healthy income indeed. Let's take a look at the factory. I think I've been quite conservative with the factory. It's taken quite a while to get here, but you'll see we are a level 4 factory. We have our own wind tunnel, which we are upgrading to level 5. It was level 5 already, as was the supercomputer, but as the game moves on, level 5 is not a static idea. So, you might have a level 5 cam system for 2-3 seasons, and then technology takes a step forward, and what was a 5-star system becomes a 4 or 3-star system, and you have to upgrade again. Great feature of the game, really, really enjoy it. Let's take a look at the team in general. So, in the final season of their contracts are Jarno Trulli and Alexander Wurz, supported by Stefan Sarazan. We're spending, let's call it 7.2 million a year on driver salaries, and you'll see that these guys have developed quite well. I signed these guys several seasons ago and made a concerted effort to develop them, and they've come along a long way. This isn't my best development playthrough, but they've certainly come along very, very nicely. I mean, they're still on paper very, very slow compared to many of their contemporaries, but the main thing for me has always been concentration. Another crash there. The last word was concentration, if that got cut off. Anyway, as I was saying, for me, the main driver talents have always been concentration and wet weather, actually, because they seem to give the biggest return across the length of a season. And outright speed can be mitigated by having a strong engineering department and having a very well engineered car with a good power unit. And that's basically what you're seeing arrows as well at the moment. Okay, I'm going to move on to another playthrough. See you in a moment. So, welcome to Tyrrell. And this Tyrrell playthrough is, again, 2005 season. We're in round 6 at this point. We have one win this season, and we're sitting 2nd and 3rd in the Drivers' Championship. This is the 2nd season since we began winning, and again, because Tyrrell starts so much further behind the other teams, it takes longer to get into a winning position. Arguably, this isn't my best ever Tyrrell playthrough, but it's the only one I've got on this hard drive. And what we saw last season, I think the team was Deniz and Trulli, and Deniz won the first race. I think he won at Hungary. And then this season we're in a much stronger position for actually consistently challenging the top positions. Let's take a look at here. So you see we're sat 2nd in the Constructors' Championship, nicely sandwiched between the McLarens and the Benettons. In the Drivers' Championship we are 2nd and 3rd, behind Michael Schumacher in his McLaren, ahead of Mika Hakkinen in his Benetton. And you see McLaren picked up Deniz from us on the back of his performances for us. So the AI do pick up on drivers that have developed quite well. Mika Salo obviously is outperforming Jarno Trulli, which in the Arrows playthrough just wouldn't happen, but here it does happen, and he's been coming along very, very nicely. In fact, you'll see here the effects of driver development. Trulli has just come into the team quite recently as well, and you'll see we haven't developed him over a period of time, so he's not looking as good as he does in the Jordan playthrough. However, Mika Salo, on the other hand, has been developed by another team, and we poached him, and you see here all these points that he's gained through effective management at another team, and now he's moved into the lead driver role at Tyrrell. Commercial department, we have 5-star, 3-star in construction, and 5-star in leading the mechanics. Let's take a look at our factory. Here, see, we are behind, and we will be behind because it's a very basic team. But we're starting now to build our testing rig, and we've got a level 5 factory under construction, which means 2006-7 we can get wind tunnels and workshop. I would say that if we were to pick up this playthrough by 2006, I think we could probably pick up a championship, and then there's only 2 seasons left to run before the game enforces a finish. but I'd say we could be double world champions by that point. It is possible to do it faster. I'm just not good enough. That's my honest assessment. I'm sure there's people out there who managed to win the championship with Tyrrell in only 3 or 4 seasons. A part of that will be luck. Sometimes you just get lucky, like we did in the Arrows playthrough with Red Bull giving us that 3-season, 18 million guaranteed deal, which should not have happened. But sometimes you just have this synergy and you get very, very lucky. Let's take a look at what's going on sponsors. We only get 48.1 million. That's because we haven't been as successful as the Jordan team had been. So we can't squeeze as much money out of the sponsors. We are sponsored by Buzzing Hornets. Ignore this because I've not played the game in a long time. The graphics have not been updated here. So this is how the Tyrrell looks at the start of the 1998 season. But yeah, Buzzing Hornets are the team sponsor. We have Works Mercedes Power, Works Bridgestone Tyres, and Works Shell Fuel. And we've got a spare sponsor slot. So we're not, again, squeezing the maximum out of the space on the car as we could be doing. Okay, onwards and upwards, let's take a look at my ultra-conservative Prost playthrough to show you what conservative play genuinely looks like. Just a moment. Bonsoir, mon ami. Welcome to France and to Prost. I always preferred Prost when they were Ligier. The one good thing Prost did do is paint the car that amazing shade of blue. I rant about it all the time, but it's incredible. So here we have Jan Magnussen and Pedro Diniz, and I'd been chasing pay drivers and the cheapest drivers I could find. Jan Magnussen was particularly cheap. You'll see we have 33.1 million in the bank, and we have not got a race win or a point to our name, and we're at round 9. And that's because we've been ultra conservative. And that means we don't get the results that we should get for a team this size, and it means we can't negotiate particularly good sponsor deals. So let's take a look at, we're getting 30.7 million next season. And we have a lot of the same sponsors we've had on other playthroughs, but they just don't pay as much. So with 85% of the car covered, we're only getting 30.7 million. The season before, I went out of my way to negotiate some pretty good deals, and you see things look pretty good here, right? However, again, we're not getting as much as a stronger performing team would get, but also I've not been spending the money. And I've been treating it as if I'm constantly worried there'll be a big financial crash or we'll lose all our sponsorship and we have to have the team running the next season without any input. We still managed to get a works deal for the engine. However, for tyres and fuel, we could only get partner deals, and again, that's down to how well we perform. So if you do feel that I play too conservatively, just bear in mind that with Arrows, we are able to get work supplies for all 3 major components, and that would not be happening for a team our size were it not for the strong performances. And what I'm most proud of about the Arrows playthrough is that we have consistently moved forward by talking out our decisions and by always thinking a season ahead. There are times when you need to make a decision for the benefit of your immediate short-term goal, and it's a crash-orama today. Sometimes you have to focus on your short-term goals because you need a result that's going to enable you to be in a stronger position next season. An example of that is what we're doing this season at Arrows, which is to put out a 4th revision or a 4th version of our chassis. So we are actually working on a D-spec. That's not only because it hasn't really been possible before, but now we're getting sort of into the late season, or at the end of the season, we see that rivals are making gains on us, and if we hadn't have started the D-spec, we would have no hope of retaining a certain level of dominance at the end of the season. We are no longer dominant. I think the last episode proved that fairly conclusively. Mercedes and Benetton have outdeveloped us over the course of the season, and that's not that we could have done more, it's that when we do take an action, it's that much less effective than it is at McLaren or Benetton, because more money, bigger staff, bigger factory, and that just works as like an economic multiplier that enables them to take a bigger step forward. It's the same as real F1. People always talk about how Manor have not really taken any steps forward. But if you look at qualifying for Bahrain yesterday, you can see they have taken a step forward. However, it's not a quantum leap. And Williams have brought a new nose cone, and that too has improved performance, but it's not been a complete quantum leap. And that's because of their relative sizes compared to the more dominant teams, the Ferraris and the Red Bulls. I mean, Ferrari brings, I think I'm right in saying, double the freight of any other team. They bring 100% extra freight to each Grand Prix. And that's just enables them to develop and develop and develop at a pace that other teams cannot match. And a single upgrade for Ferrari is likely to have a bigger effect than a single upgrade for a Force India, for example. We saw that Force India were only able to take a big step forward by basically running last year's car for half a season, learning as much as they could from it, and then releasing a brand new revised chassis halfway through the season, and that worked really, really well for them. But now this season, they've written themselves into a corner because next season we have, in all but name, a new formula. Wider rear tyres, different aero components are going to be differently sized and shaped. It's basically a new aero formula, if not a new engine formula. And so why would Force India now develop this season's car? The answer is you wouldn't. If you're being careful with your money and you're being careful with your staff, then you would already be throwing all your resources behind next season's rules. The reason they aren't doing that is that they've not been written on tablets yet. They're not completely guaranteed not to change. So it's going to be a funny one for a lot of these midfield teams, because normally a change of this magnitude enables teams to take a significant step forward. And that might not be the case this time, simply because the teams are not being given enough time to capitalise on what represents a very big change. Right, let's take a look at some more saves. So everybody said, oh, Zero, you didn't play Minardi because you're not capable of doing it. Well, screw you guys, look at this. This is 2004 Minardi season, and get a load of that. We are number 1 in the championship, so bite me. That's the beer talking. We have Heinz Frentzen and Shinji Nakano. Shinji was the lead driver of the team up until we brought Frentzen on board. We don't have a great amount of money, but again, this comes down to what we've been doing at Arrows, which is spend. The money's no good to us in the bank. The money needs to be spent on the car. It needs to be spent on development. And if we have 33 million in the bank, then we're doing something wrong. That's just a fact. The difference with Jordan was, we had 20-something million in the bank, but we were completely and utterly dominant, and we got to a stage where our economic capacity brought down the cost of everything, and I just couldn't spend that money. I was negotiating for far more money than I was able to spend. In a normal course of events, that wouldn't happen. So here at Minardi, we're spending as much as it's safe to do so. I think having 2 to 4 million in the bank isn't necessarily a bad idea if you are uncertain about how your income is going to vary over the coming races. So let's take a look at who's been giving us the cash monies. We've gone from 39.745 million to 41.58 million. Again, showing that it's not what you've got, it's how you use it to a certain degree. And we have Red Bull. Toyota entered. That's right. Toyota entered F1 in this playthrough, which is something I've been really hoping for. Toyota or Renault to enter, so we had a new Works engine supplier. But we have Works Toyota, Goodyear Works tyres, and Shell Works fuel. And again, there's 2 5-stars, 1 3-star, and 1 1-star sponsor there. So again, the reason we're getting so much money out of so few sponsors is consistently improving form and a solid commercial team. That commercial team is led by Yves Lambert. No one special really, apart from Adrian Newey in construction, and we're replacing him with Harvey Postlethwaite to save some cash. On the design front, we've not had any design rock stars. We've just consistently taken steps forward, and that's really, really important. Shinji Nakano has 1 win to his name in a total of 104 points. 10 wins for Heinz Frentzen. Not all this season, this is career stats. Let's take a look at the factory. Again, a level 2 factory we're doing this with. CAD, CAM, supercomputer. They're the ones I always invest in first. Really, a testing rig would be very beneficial for this team, but it's 6 million. It's 6 million that we just don't have. But because this is arguably the playthrough I'm most proud of, actually, of the ones that are on this hard drive. The reason I'm so proud of it is that I've achieved a lot with very, very, very little. We've been focusing on reliability primarily and just getting to the end of the races, and then developing that Toyota engine to a point where we can sort of power ourselves out of trouble to some degree. No championships to date, but we have won all the races but one, which we lost to Celso Moreira in his Ferrari, who has developed really, really well. He's a young driver at the start of the game, and Ferrari picked him up and ran with him, and he's actually developed really, really, really well. I still want to do a driver development playthrough for you guys, but anyway, for those of you who'd always wanted to see Minardi at the top, there you go. Right, let's see what else we've got. Okay, welcome to Williams, and this is a playthrough I made pretty much concurrently with the Prost playthrough. And the reason I made this one, this is the one we'll close out the episode with, is I made this to sort of show you that starting with a big team doesn't always guarantee success. If you make bad decisions, as we have in this playthrough, purposefully, you can go backwards. And you'll see we've got 13.6 million in the bank, far too much. Far too much. We're only 2 seasons into the game, but already we've taken a noticeable step back. Let's see over here. We're third in the Constructors' Championship, which doesn't sound so bad, but if you look at the gap we have to McLaren, this isn't really where we would hope to be at this stage in the game. We've had 2 full seasons as the team with the second biggest budget, and we should, and this is easy mode, we should be winning. We should be winning Constructors' Championships, and the fact that we're not shows that we've done something wrong, because it's a team eminently capable of it. If not winning, we should be very, very comfortably second. So what we've done, first of all, is hire a inexperienced driver. We have also not had the drivers running at a sensible level. So we've not been pushing as hard as we can in some areas. In other areas, I saw particularly Tanaka is weak in wet weather, and I got him to push in wet weather. And through that, we could get some DNFs that wouldn't totally needless DNFs. You'll see we're getting 52.3 million this season, completely wasted. We've switched to Ferrari power. No particularly impressive sponsors there. No work steals either. I think maybe actually the Ferrari is a work steal. And the factory, we've just, look at that. We've sunk all this money into the factory. I've got a testing rig is the last thing I'm building, which again is a mistake. The workshop should be the last thing that we build. But you see, I've sunk all the money I could into the factory. The rest I have not spent on development of the car. I've not spent on testing. I've not spent on hiring better staff or growing the team. And as a result, we are static, arguably going backwards. So hopefully this has given you an insight into how different processes for playing through the game are available, but they're not always going to guarantee the best result. And I feel that what we're doing with arrows has more or less, it's not perfect, but it's more or less been making the right decisions fairly consistently. And we're reaping the rewards of that now. We could have done some things differently. We could have had some better luck here and there and maybe been in this position a season or 2 earlier. However, when you look at it from a team perspective rather than a driver performance perspective, we always had some concerns surrounding reliability. So while we could have been winning earlier if we pushed harder earlier, would we have had more DNFs that would have resulted in a lower constructors championship position, which means less works money, perhaps even only partner deals, less sponsor money. You're constantly having to balance the interests of your own competitiveness, the long-term viability of the team, and the drivers. And how you strike that balance decides how quickly you're successful and how successful you are when you get there. So without further ado, I'm going to call this an episode, and thank you so much for joining me. I'm going to record the Arrows episode for you, and hopefully we can have a double whammy today. How about that? Merry Christmas.